Hi, it's week 8, day 51 of my full-time chronic pain rehabilitation journey. My name's Jason, and today I'm going to talk about how to change the default factory settings of your mind. I learned this tip from a man named David Goggins, and I thought I'd pass it along to you. At the end of the video, I'm also going to share a tip on how to quiet your mind, so please hang around. First though, a status update. I have a ketamine hangover. Ketamine is a psychedelic that helps with anxiety and depression. I had a treatment yesterday, and the aftermath of that is that the next day I feel pretty bad. And it's been a rough day. I'm really tired. My pain level's kind of high, which doesn't have really anything to do with the ketamine. It's just I'm hurting. And I'm not feeling like my bubbly self, but I promise I'd make these videos every day no matter what. So we're doing it. This is it. All right. I also started a new diet. So I am still primarily plant-based, whole foods, and minimal animal products as much as possible. But my personal trainer was a competitive athlete, and he's trying to help me build muscle and lose fat. So I do need to go into ketosis a couple days a week. I've railed on the keto diet as a long-term health strategy. It stinks. But in measured doses, it can actually help you lose fat. So I will be having some days during the week when I'm in ketosis. And I started that today, so it's a low-carb day, so I'm kind of feeling hungover from the ketamine, my carbs are low, and my back hurts. So it's kind of like a trifecta, and I'm still shooting the video, so here I am. And I am adapting my diet somewhat. I found it difficult to get enough protein just from animal source or from plant sources, and so I will be using some specific animal sources to augment my protein. One of those is egg whites. It has a lot of amino acids that you need, and there's minimal negative downsides, no fat. It's pretty clean for the most part. And then there's also a protein powder, collagen-based protein powder that I use. It's also similar. It's very clean. Should have minimal negative impact on me. So I am kind of moving a little bit more back in the direction of animal products, but they're the cleanest ones I can find. And the only reason I'm doing that is to make sure that I have enough protein in my diet. All right, on to today's topic, which is how to change the default factory settings in your brain. So I'm going to talk about a man named David Goggins. He is sort of a super soldier / ultra athlete extraordinaire. And most people would probably consider his methods extreme, but I think that his philosophy has direct application to people that suffer with chronic conditions, so I want to talk about it. And one of the analogies he uses to describe your brain, the part that he wants to modify, is a governor module. So if you've ever been in a car that has a top speed limit control, even though the speedometer may say you can go up to 130 miles an hour, it locks you out and stops at 90. This is an example of that. My wife and I took a Segway tour in Salt Lake City, and the Segways had a governor module, so if you started going a little too fast, it would slow you down and not let you proceed. It would actually like push the control. If you've ever seen a Segway, it's basically like two wheels. You stand on it, and then there's like a little column in front that has handlebars, and you lean to control it. Anyway, that column will push back into your chest if you start to go too fast, according to the governor module. And so the governor module in our brain is engineered in such a way that if we start to experience discomfort, pain, anything like that, in too great a degree of quantity, or too much of a quantity, and it disrupts the status quo, the governor module engages and says, no, put the brakes on. You know that dietary change you're trying to make? Go back to the way you used to eat. It was better after all. And so you start to feel extreme discomfort, and the idea is that your brain's trying to drive you back to a prior pattern of behavior. So that's how your governor module works. And the problem with it is it's been essentially calibrated. It's as if it were calibrated by a bunch of lawyers who want to avoid lawsuits. It's very, very cautious. It's very, very overprotective. And it keeps you from, in many cases, fulfilling your potential and realizing your capabilities. And so what David Goggin has done is challenge his governor module and tried to essentially almost turn it off. In my mind, he's probably come as close to any human being that I know of to turning off his governor module. I'm not going to go quite that far, but I think he's onto something. That these feelings of discomfort that we often have that drive us back into old patterns of behavior really are just uncomfortable feelings that if we endure them long enough, go away. And there's a way to, you don't have to go, do a complete overnight change. The governor module really hates that. But there are ways to kind of game the system and get past it. So he has a strategy for doing that. And the way to do it is, if you're operating, say, at 40% of your full potential, try going to 42%. Just inch it up a little bit and deal with the discomfort. And then once you get used to that, you inch it up again to, say, 44%, or up again to 46%. And over time, you can essentially change and reprogram the governor module to allow you to do things that otherwise you would have stopped doing because of the emotional backlash. So it's a pretty cool idea. And I realize I've been doing this. I did it today even, and primarily because of David Goggins, but I was doing it before him. Because I feel so crappy today, the cold tub feels colder. I've had this happen twice now. The day after I take a ketamine dose, I feel like the cold tub is colder than normal, and it's harder to endure. It's just because I'm mentally fatigued, and it feels different. And so today, usually I go back and forth between a hot tub and cold tub 3 times. I did it 5 times. I forced myself to do it 5 times, and the most I've ever done it back and forth is 4 times. So today I knew I needed that. I'm like, I need to push myself. I need to go a little bit farther than I went last time. And that's what I did. And so essentially I'm reprogramming my governor module. Also, I've started taking cold showers in the morning, so I'm taking 2 cold showers a day now. I take one at the gym between leaving the dry sauna to go to my recovery center. That's just a quick rinse. And in the morning, I do a rinse as well to wake myself up. And I stay in the water just long enough until my breathing acclimates. But this is me again, just kind of pushing that boundary. What am I comfortable with? Let's disrupt that just enough to where you can tolerate it, and then redefine what's normal for your governor module. It's pretty effective. I like the tactic. I like the analogy. I think it's really clear and most people understand it and can work with that. Now, where David Goggins and I might differ is I want to recalibrate your governor module. He almost wants to turn it off, at least the way he lives his life. He's deliberately injured himself on multiple occasions. And for people with chronic conditions, we're already kind of broken. We don't want to add new injuries or make the injury we already have worse. And so I would not go as far as he's gone. I think there are other ways to tax your mind other than just pushing your body to its breaking point and literally breaking it in some way. I don't think that's necessary. I think that's extreme. And it's the wrong message to send, especially to teenage boys, because they'll actually try stuff like this. I remember when I tried something like it and hurt myself because I'd watched a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. He's a martial arts actor from the 80s, and he could do the splits suspended between 2 tables. And so I decided I want to do the splits, right? And of course, I didn't go slowly, and I ended up pulling a muscle really bad in my leg. Anyway, you get the idea. If you go too far, too fast, you can hurt yourself. And if 100 people behave like David Goggins does, chances are probably 75% of those people would end up with serious injuries, maybe even more. So he is kind of lucky to the extent that he hasn't been hurt more. And I think his experiment cannot be replicated on a mass scale without large-scale injuries and the creation of chronic conditions, which is what I'm trying to actually overcome. I don't want more chronic conditions. I don't think anyone watching my channel wants more of them either. So recalibrate your governor module. Do not turn it off, in effect. All right, now for that tip, how to quiet your mind. I learned this when I was at the park. I was playing with my daughter Eden, and I noticed that I kept staring at my phone or wanting to go look at my phone. It was almost like I had this compulsion to do it. And I realized the reason I do that is because I had too many notifications turned on, and so I was programming, actually the device was programming me to pay attention to it periodically on almost like a metronome. And not exactly like that, it's a little more random, but you get the idea. And so I actually turned off all the notifications except the essential ones on my phone. So when I go to look at my phone, I choose to look at it. It doesn't tell me to look at it in most cases. And I found this to actually have a very quieting effect on the mind. And it's a great strategy that I think pretty much anyone can employ. So if you haven't done this, you can go into your phone, go into the notification settings, and turn off every app except the most essential ones, the ones you use to communicate, like with your spouse, for example. That's important, but I don't have my phone buzz me when I get email, only texts, something like that. That's worked great. Fighting for your life means incrementally increasing the difficulty of the mentally taxing tasks you give yourself every day. I'd like to know when the governor module pipes up in your life. When do you feel it the most? And have you developed any strategies to overcome it? Please share those thoughts in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe.